Hey everybody, welcome back to Cedar's Adventure. I'm just picking up from where I left off last time, and I'm actually going to add a little centerpiece here for when you come over into the area where the fireball ride is and the spinning coaster. So this is trial and error as always. I kind of wanted to have like a fountain going on, and I start off with doing this and I realized it's actually a little bit too big for the area. It doesn't really create a lot of path space room around it for guests to flow through easily. So after kind of taking a look back and seeing that I don't really like it, I change it up a little bit and to make a different design. So I like the general kind of round pond shape in the middle, so I'm going to keep that and just kind of play with the shapes a bit more around the outside to give it more of like a modern feel. So I think that looks much better. So I was happy with that, so then I moved on. I'm just going to go around the park now. I'm just going to place some more rocks down here and do a lot more details in other places. You'll see me do it in a second. I actually really like to do where the water meets the banks along the edges. I like to colour the terrain there in this dark green colour. I think it's a more realistic looking approach to the water, as I think it would have a bit more of a darker colour on the edges there. So I'm just doing that, and then I also put down some kind of little plants and things along the edges, as well as some rocks, just to bring it a bit more to life and make that water kind of passageway look a bit more realistic. So moving on, I wanted to have another way to get into that area of the park. There is currently just the one bridge over, so I decided I wanted to have another bridge, and the only way I could put one in is to do it on the diagonal. So if you're going to talk game functionality, this diagonal bridge isn't actually workable. It does not function, people cannot walk over it. But I will try and make it look as real as possible to make it look like there is a function to it. So I basically just lay down some beams in diagonals just to create some steps, and then use some slanted different pieces to create kind of an illusion that the bridge is being supported somehow. And then I should go back in with some path covers just to make it look like there is a path on there. And a new way into that area of the park, which I think would be actually a place to have a path, as this bridge actually is very close to the front of the park. And instead of having to walk all the way around and come into that area of the park from the other side of the children's area, you can actually access it easily from this side. So I'm just adding a little design there on top of the path to make it look like a bit more inviting, I guess. So basically this has just been a really good tidy up of that area, finishing off some of the edges and just making it look a bit more presentable and nice. And then into the main part of this episode is basically a new diner. Now, I've done an American diner before. I don't know if any of you had watched my music rock park that I built. In that park, I built a really kind of cool looking American diner, like a 50s style, using all those kind of pastel colors, the pinks and the turquoises. And I really loved building that. I had really good fun. I wanted to do another one, but I didn't want to do the same kind of diner using those pastel colors. So I've gone from a different style American diner, which is kind of a more like a Johnny Rockets maybe. So the idea for this one came from a picture I found from a theme park of an American diner, and the front of it there is a big jukebox, kind of like an entrance. So that really inspired me for this one, and I wanted to try and create a kind of jukebox. I was kind of trying to build one, and I realized it wasn't really that possible. So I ended up doing something else which is very similar to a jukebox, but kind of just using some colours and shapes, and it did actually turn out really cool. You'll see me do that in a sec. But first of all, I'm just going to go around and just kind of make all the windows here and just do all the little trims and the details before I start doing the main front of this building basically. I was trying to match the in-game windows on the diagonal by just kind of putting in some beams just to try and really make it all come together. And the glass pieces in the game came in really handy for that. I just kind of sunk a piece of glass into the wall and then added the frames myself. So this diner is in quite a good place where it kind of breaks up the kids area into the next section of the park. I was quite unsure actually on how to kind of make the children's area stop, or I didn't want to continue it into the rest of the park. It needs to be just a small kind of area in the corner of the park. And I ended up building this diner which really did break up the area, which was quite a good idea actually when I think about it. The front that I've been talking about, you'll see I do this by using some pipes and just kind of start off by creating a general kind of jukebox shape. I think it's around about this point that I realise it's not going to be a jukebox. So I just kind of make it work, do something else with it. Still like the kind of look and the idea of it at this point in building it. So then I just go in with the colours, and basically I just use the brightest colour and then I make it darker and darker as we go along, and then add some different shades in there and just kind of made what I made. I mean, it was definitely just kind of random and didn't plan it at all, but it looks cool. I like it. Sometimes it's really good when you just do things and they turn out better than something maybe that you might have planned. So that's basically the general shape of this restaurant here. I'm just going to go in the inside and add a checkered floor to make it really look like that kind of retro vintage 50s style. Not forgetting to put some shops in there just for the people and some toilets. So I wanted to create like a small backstage area for this restaurant, have like a area where the bins would be and where the staff can kind of come in and collect the rubbish. So I'm just gonna put that little bit at the back you just saw me do there, and then have like a staff path go around the back. It was actually quite a nice thing as well to break up the restaurant to the railway track that you can see. So I was actually unsure again on how to finish that off, that area. I'm going to do another railway crossing as I've done a few before in the park, and I think it's become like a bit of a continuing theme now through the park to have quite a few railway crossings. So I should do another one of those there and maybe just break it up with some shrubbery. So that is basically it for this episode. I've had a real good time building this little restaurant. Thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting, liking and subscribing. I should try and get a video out next week where I can continue on from this. The park is so nearly finished. It's taken a really long time, but I've had a really good time doing it. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.